So as I said, the point is that it really depends from what perspective you go from. How do you perceive the information? It's very, very surprising. For example, historians, they have to deal with how to interpret what they saw. Okay?
Okay, now I've got a question here. For people on the outside of the country, for people in the West, we look in and perhaps we see that both sides have moral equivalency. We're assuming here that both sides are coming at it honestly and from a transparent perspective, and that they both have equal moral footing.
About that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, the presence of Jews in the land of Israel and the state of Israel is completely legal. Okay? The state of Israel was created back in 1947, actually. That was when the vote was 29th of November 1947. That was when they voted yes for state of Israel. The state of Israel was created because of a need, because Jews needed a homeland.
After the Holocaust.
After the Holocaust, especially after the Holocaust.
Okay, well, okay. Before we go, then I have to ask you: is this whole thing a Zionist conspiracy? Was all of this a Zionist conspiracy to dominate the world?
Jews are not interested in anything besides survival. Let me be very, very blunt.
Okay, I get this a lot, and there's a lot of hubbub online, and people say everything that can possibly be ascribed to a Zionist conspiracy seems to get that label.
Well, let's put it this. To say a Zionist conspiracy, you have to say that every single Jew is involved in something, and it's not true. Put it this. If there's someone who is Jewish who's trying to take over the economy or something, I'm not responsible for that person. If that person's a criminal, trial them, imprison them, or do whatever you have to do with them. Let's be very, very blunt about it. If they're doing something illegal, if they're endangering world economy, whatever it is, stop them. I don't care if they're Jewish or not Jewish, that's not the point. If they're endangering the world, stop them, very, very clearly. You have to be very blunt about it. But to say a Zionist conspiracy, put it this. The people who promote a lot of people try to quote
the protocols of the elders of Zion.
Yeah, it's fake.
Okay, how can you tell that it's fake?
Well, first of all, just look at the Bible. All we're interested in the Bible is this little piece of land in between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean. Let's live there, and that's it. We, as Jews, we're not interested in missionarizing our religion to anyone. We have a very good survival instinct, so we get ourselves into different places. Okay? We know how to make money.
You've been prepping forever, yo.
Exactly. Jews have been prepping forever because we live in a reality that we had no homeland. So we had to know how to survive. So we knew how to accumulate wealth. We knew how to do different things, and we survived. Okay? It's a survival instinct. Jews are the first preppers, I think, I would say. But the point is very, very simple. Conspiracy, listen, if there is someone out there with a conspiracy, it's not me or anyone I know, okay? So you have to remove that from your mind, because it's really, I mean, I can start showing you conspiracy theories about almost anything in the world, okay? So it's kind of stupid, some of it. But to say that there aren't bad Jews, that would be a lie.
Okay.
There are sometimes very bad Jews, okay? But to start saying it's all Jews, that's being stupid, okay? Because I can go walk around and say, whatever race or whatever group of people, they're all evil, and we all know that's not true. You can never take a group of people and say they're all like that. Same way with, for example, the argument about the Arabs. You can't say all Arabs are like this or all Arabs are like that. For example, I hear people say, all Arabs are liars or all Arabs are murderers. And it's not true. They live in a more violent mentality. That's the way of the desert. It's the way of the desert. This is how they survive. They still live in a world where you live by the sword. You can't blame them for this because there's no better education. It's an easy way to control people. You go in with the biggest guns and the biggest weapons, and they fear you, and you control them. And that's really part of what I see with the Israeli-Palestinian argument. It's not an issue of who's telling the truth. It's an issue of what is actually happening in the towns themselves. Israelis don't walk around all day fearing the Arabs. Arabs live their lives. No one's like, you don't see fights every 5 minutes, but there are problems. And the major problem is the issue of education. If you ever go onto Arab television from Gaza Strip or whatever it might be, you see a lot of education to hatred. You have the Hamas Mickey Mouse.
It's like yeah, Hamas. It's like Sesame Street jihad. Or
yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
So it's not really even the people's fault. It's the people who control the propaganda. Same thing with Nazi Germany. They had people who worked in propaganda. They spread a lie. A lot of Germans fell for it, and this is why Germans are very apologetic. The major thing that bothers me about the whole argument has to do with the fact that, for example, a couple of days ago, one of the members of the PA Parliament openly admitted, Palestinian Authority Parliament, openly admitted that the 1967 borders are only the beginning and they're here to destroy the state of Israel. How can you ignore a statement like that?
From a leadership.
From a leader, someone who's actually high-ranking in the Palestinian leadership. So I think it's a double standard. If they want peace, great. If you actually read the Declaration of the State of Israel, Declaration of Independence, it says there, we stretch an open hand to all our neighbors to live in peace. Okay? What do they say? Kill, 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 kill. Now, it's not the average Shmo on the street. Okay? It's the leadership because it gives them power. And there's several questions you'd ask yourself. Do you take the time to do self-research? Have you ever encountered Palestinian literature? Have you ever encountered Israeli literature? Have you ever checked, for example, where all the funds that your government gives the PA, where does it go to? Ooh. You think, for example, if you're an American, you think someone's stealing your tax money? You should look deep into that one. Because, for example, Ismail Haniyeh was caught with $30 million in a suitcase trying to smuggle it across the border. He had $30 million in cash. That's a lot of cash. That's a lot of cash.
That's a lot of cash.
Okay.
So then where did he get it from?
It goes to their own private pockets. Yasser Arafat, who was a terrorist.
And an Egyptian.
Okay. Died, he had $900 million in his bank account.
Died and he had $900 million?
Yeah, he had $900 million in his bank account. And everyone has themselves, well, if he has $900 million, he first accumulated that money over a relatively short period of time. Now, you have to remember something else. The average employee of the PA makes a couple $100 a month.
And he had $900 million.
And he had $900 million in his bank account. I am not blaming anyone. I'm just saying we have to stop and think for a moment. I personally, for example, tell people very bluntly, they're here. It's a question why they're here, but they're here, and we have to try to find a way to live in peace. The problem is, I, as the average Shmo on the street, have difficulty believing them. We don't believe one another. It's actually distrust is a very, very common thing.
So it would be like a generational distrust, really.
It's a distrust because what happens here is because what we see is the guy try to blow themselves up in buses. What we see is the jihad television. What we see lynches against Jews who just drive by an Arab village. That's what we see. What they see is the IDF going in and arresting people, violently arresting people because, by the way, the violence starts off because the IDF just goes in to arrest someone for questioning and they start throwing rocks. So rocks are dangerous, by the way. Anyone who's
that's the you see that a lot is that the IDF is attacking children who are throwing rocks and.
Well, first of all, the IDF. When I was a soldier, we had very, very strict rules of engagement. You do not.
I want to hear this.
You do not open fire that easily. I remember when I was a soldier, they told us you have to go through this whole process.
Stop or I'll shoot.
Yeah, you yell out that you're IDF. You yell out to stop, and then there's a whole process before you actually open fire. Okay? There's a whole process. Now, what happens in these demonstrations, first of all, what they do is they do trick photography. They take a picture from an angle where it looks as if the soldier's opening fire on a child, and what the soldier's really doing is just holding up a weapon in a threatening way and not even opening fire. Now, I think the worst propaganda that goes on is when we have these leftist activists from Europe and from the United States, and they come here and they think they're fighting for a rightful cause, and I can understand that. And I don't think they're right, but what they do, they're very provocative. They actually attack soldiers. Now, if someone tries to attack me, I will subdue them. If I was walking down the street and someone pounced me, the first thing I do is go into defense mode.
Yeah,
no offense if I have to.
Most people would.
Most people would. Now, so we have a problem. We have a foreign person doing actually, on an international level, illegal activity, okay? We arrest them, or it becomes violent, it goes all over the news. Countries say, you attacked our citizen. And where's the American government or the European governments when Israelis are murdered and they're also citizens of another state? Where's the noise over that? You know, there's a lot of misbalance here. There's a lot of back of balance here. And I remember I once asked someone who's more of the left side in the argument, and I asked him, so what happens, say we go back to 1967 borders, do you really believe the Arabs will decide they're done? That's it, we're done with the fight.
Will they be happy with the 1967
I'm telling you the answer is no. I highly suspect that even if we go, now they're talking about 1967 borders. It's never been really on the table, now it's really on the table. And I have serious doubts. Because, for example, when we pulled out the Gaza Strip, that became a hub of terrorism.
Yeah, it's not been a good
Okay,
thing.
Even Egypt now wants to identify Hamas as a terrorist group. Okay, so God knows what's going to happen. Now they're talking about Al-Qaeda being involved in what was going to call the West Bank, or Judea and Samaria. Al-Qaeda, okay, now everyone knows what Al-Qaeda is, okay? So I have serious doubts regarding a lot of this. Not being pessimistic and not being driven by the left or right argument, I'm just saying, looking at the reality.